welcome everybody to a John 13 Community / Autism Labs podcast video. Vanessa is one of the colleagues that's worked with our son Michael for years, and she's been on a pretty interesting journey. So wanted to let her share with everyone some of the things that she's learned since she was a freshman in college. Is that right, Vanessa? You started with Michael when you were a freshman?
Exactly, right after my freshman year.
It's been what, 4 or 5 years, something like that?
Something like that, maybe. I think on the 4-year end.
So one of the questions I had for you was just, what are some of the insights you think parents of a profoundly autistic, son or daughter, someone that's nonverbal like Michael, IQ less than 50. In his case, he has seizures, often there are other medical issues so it's a much more challenging kind of individual adult to be with. What do you think some of the insights though that you've gained that parents might benefit from? Any ideas or thoughts there?
I think it's really important for parents to understand and support their communication methods. So often even people like me who are colleagues to these individuals, you get used to being around them, and so you start using their vocalizations as a way of communication because you understand them, but not necessarily is that something functional for the individual. And so I think we can fall into that trap of just allowing that type of communication versus giving the individual their autonomy and using something like a device or whatever their communication form is. Things like supporting their communication and keeping their structured environment are going to allow these individuals the most amount of autonomy, in just their everyday lives.
I think those are all great points.
Mm-hmm.
Communications to me is probably the biggest problem and probably what causes some of the most severe behavior, right? That Michael's frustrated. He can't tell us why.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know. We're guessing. And so that lack of communications and understanding just exacerbates the situation, and before you know it, you've got a meltdown. One of the things that I'm interested in, if you've observed, has to do with hidden potential that, you've been with Michael for, 4+ years.
Mm-hmm.
Often a lot of parents, and even I think I was this way, we sort of accept the status quo and that, well, his situation's fine. He's got so many problems that we really should lower our expectations. But then you put him in situations that maybe are a little bit uncomfortable for you as a parent, and he really surprises you. I mean, has there been anything like that you would like to share with parents that, don't discount what your kiddo, your adult child might really, really be able to do? I mean, any thoughts?
Oh, of course. That's a great point. I think that's something I learned very early on working with Michael, was just allowing your children or people that you're working with to try new things before you're setting the limits that your own mind sets on the individual. So I think by putting limits on them, we're not allowing individuals to show their specific and special talents or special strengths, just like all of us have. So definitely with Michael, I think one of the biggest things that I used to do was kind of show him a specific way to do an exercise or a specific way to shoot a ball or to dribble a ball. And I wanted him to do it the way I was showing him, because that's the way I thought that he'd be successful, and that's a lot of what Michael and I do together is, exercise and health and wellness things. And so very early on, I just started giving Michael the ball and allowing him to do what he wanted to do. And before you know it, he was shooting from 5 feet further than he was when I was trying to have him do it what I thought was the right way. That's only one example of the ways that Michael's overshot the limits that I even set on him whenever him and I first started working together. So definitely.
Yeah, one of the things that just blew me away is that Crux Gym, it's a climbing gym and it's got a wall that's 30 feet tall inside. And Michael doesn't understand holding on to things like holding onto a wall. He doesn't really get why he would want to lift his leg up onto a little, very small notch in the wall. I thought both Kay and I never thought he would like it, do it, or understand it. But to see a video of him climbing by himself with just the belayer holding the safety rope, a 30-foot wall, blew me away. And he had fun. He wanted to do it. It was like, oh my goodness. And I know you had to work on that. I know you had to sort of tell everybody what you had to do to get him to that point, because it's sort of a fun thing.
So definitely it was a huge work in progress every time we'd go to Crux, and part of that was just motivating him to want to climb, the idea of even climbing, and then motivating him to continue climbing on the wall whenever he would fall. And some of those harnesses aren't the most comfortable when you fall, so kind of navigating him through all of that, and then teaching him how to, when you're climbing, you have to navigate to specific holes and put your feet in specific areas for you to even be able to stand up. So all of those components, you can imagine just for how hard that can be in general and how hard that sport is to learn. And so at first we started just getting Michael to touch the wall, getting him to even stand up on a couple pegs. And well, if you know Michael, he's highly motivated by a lot of extrinsic factors like food and
Yes.
high fives and those types of things. And so we just started getting creative with ways that we could motivate Michael to keep going. So that came in forms of, I would climb a little higher than him and then reach down and show him my hand and bribe him with the high five if he got as high as I was. Or, when that wasn't working, he had small candies that he really loved. And this is the one that kind of turned the page for Michael is, us as a team, we're working on ways that we could come up with to be creative for Michael to continue climbing. And all of us were like, no, let's not use the candy. We'll figure out a different way. And, we were like, maybe we'll just give it a try. It's okay. One time won't hurt us. Let's just try it. So there you go. We put the candy at the top of the 30-foot wall, and there goes Michael.
All the way up.
All of us, all the way. No one's helping him. I mean, I'm barely up there showing him where to go, and he is just gunning for the candy. And he did it. So now, I don't think that we have to use that strategy anymore. Michael knows he can do it. And once we get him motivated up there and everyone's yelling and cheering, and you'll hear the gym get very loud when Michael's on the wall. And he's able to do it now. But a lot of interesting strategies we used to get him up there and get him motivated.
All right, this has been great. And what we're going to do is we're going to have another episode next week where we continue this conversation. Let Vanessa tell us a little bit about herself, because she wasn't trained to deal with the folks like Michael at all. So if you like this week's episode, please tune in next week as we continue onward.